Diane Thompson stood in the corner of the Grand Marquis Hotel ballroom, holding a glass of cheap wine she hadn't sipped, watching her former classmates laugh and hug like they were still 25. At 54, she perfected the art of taking up less space literally and figuratively. She'd gained 40 pounds since her divorce, let her hair go completely gray in tight natural curls, and dressed in a simple navy dress from Target that she hoped made her invisible. It was working. 3 former friends had looked right past her. She was about to slip out the side exit when a voice behind her said, "Diane Marie Thompson, I've been looking for you for 35 years. She turned. The man standing there had salt and pepper hair, sharp blue eyes, and a custom suit that probably cost more than her car. She didn't recognize him until he smiled that crooked, gentle smile that had haunted her dreams since she was 19. "Ben," she whispered. He'd kept a letter. She could see it in his eyes. The letter where she'd broken both their hearts. The reunion invitation had arrived 3 months ago, and Diane had thrown it directly into the trash. She was 54 years old, worked as a high school counselor, making $52,000 a year, lived in a 1-bedroom apartment in South Chicago, and had exactly $347 in her checking account until her next paycheck. Her ex-husband had remarried someone 10 years younger. Her daughter was busy with her own life in Seattle. Her son called once a month, dutiful but distant. She had no reason to parade her ordinary, invisible life in front of people who probably didn't remember she existed. But her co-worker Janet had fished the invitation out of the trash, waved it in her face during lunch, and said, "Girl, you are going. I don't care if I have to drive you there myself. Why would I want to see people I haven't talked to in decades? Because you've been hiding for 10 years since Marcus left. You work, go home, watch TV, and sleep. That's not living, Diane. That's existing." The words had stung because they were true. So here she was, standing in a corner of the Grand Marquis Hotel ballroom, wearing a dress she bought on clearance and shoes that pinch her feet, watching women with Botox and men with hair plugs pretend they hadn't aged at all. The room smelled like expensive perfume and desperation. Crystal chandeliers. No, just regular nice lights. She corrected herself. Hung from the ceiling, casting everything in a warm glow that made everyone look softer, younger, kinder than they probably were. A DJ played hits from the late 80s, and a handful of people were already dancing, their movements loose from the open bar. Diane recognized maybe half the faces. Sharon Mitchell, who'd been homecoming queen, now worked in pharmaceutical sales and had 3 kids based on the photos she wouldn't stop showing. David Chun, who'd been valedictorian, was apparently a surgeon in Boston. Everyone had become someone. Diane had become invisible. She perfected it, really. At school, she dressed in muted colors, kept her head down, and made herself useful without being noticed. At the grocery store, she'd learned to navigate aisles without making eye contact. At church, she sat in the back row and left during the final hymn. Being invisible was safe. Being invisible meant no one could judge you, leave you, or remind you of everything you weren't. She was debating whether she could leave without Janet finding out when a hand touched her shoulder. "Diane? Diane Thompson." She turned to find Monica Phillips, who'd been her lab partner junior year. Monica looked almost exactly the same. Same bright smile, same expressive dark brown eyes, though now her locks were styled in an elegant updo instead of hanging down her back. "Monica, E." Diane forced enthusiasm into her voice. "Oh my God, I almost didn't recognize you. You look so different. Different. The polite word for you've aged and gained weight and look nothing like your yearbook photo." "Yeah, well, 35 years will do that," Diane said lightly. "You look great, though. Very natural. I love the gray hair. So brave." Brave. Another polite word. Brave meant I would never let myself go like that. They made small talk for 5 painful minutes. Monica was a marketing executive, divorced but dating someone new, had 2 kids in college. She asked what Diane did, and when Diane said she was a school counselor, Monica's eyes glazed over with polite disinterest. "That's so important," Monica said in the tone people use when they mean the opposite. "Well, I should go say hi to some other folks. Great seeing you." She was gone before Diane could respond. Diane's chest felt tight. This was a mistake. She should have stayed home. She started toward the exit, weaving between groups of people who didn't notice her passing, when she heard someone call her name from the stage. "Before we get too deep into the evening," said Rick Harrison, who'd been class president and was apparently running this disaster, "I want to acknowledge some special guests who made tonight possible. First, a huge thank you to Ben Cooper, who not only sponsored this entire event, but also personally purchased and renovated this hotel specifically so we could host our reunion here." Applause erupted. Diane froze. Ben Cooper. The name hit her like a fist to the stomach. She turned slowly toward the stage, her heart suddenly pounding in her ears. "Ben couldn't make it tonight," Rick continued. Relief flooded through her. "Just kidding. He's right here." A man stepped onto stage, and Diane's knees went weak. He was older. Of course he was. But he'd aged the way some men do, distinguished instead of diminished. His dark hair was now shot through with silver, and he'd filled out to the shoulders and chest. But those blue eyes were exactly the same, sharp and kind all at once. He wore a charcoal suit that fit him perfectly, no tie, the top button of his white shirt undone. He smiled and waved off the applause, uncomfortable with the attention, in a way that made Diane's throat close up. That was the Ben she remembered. The boy who'd tutored kids for free. The boy who'd wanted to be a teacher. The boy who'd told her he loved her under the bleachers after a football game, and she'd kiss him like her life depended on it until her mother found out. "Thanks, Rick," Ben said into the microphone, his voice deeper now but still warm. "I'm just glad we could all be here tonight. It's good to see everyone. Enjoy the evening." He stepped off the stage, and immediately people swarmed him. Diane felt dizzy. She needed to leave. Right now. She turned toward the X again, moving faster now, her heels clicking against the floor. She was 10 feet from the door when someone said, "Diane Marie Thompson." She froze. "I've been looking for you for 35 years. Diane turned slowly, her heart hammering so hard she thought she might pass out. "Because I never stopped loving you." The room tilted. "Ben, that was 35 years ago. We were kids. I know exactly how long it's been. 12,775 days, give or take." Her breath caught. "You counted. I looked for you, Diane. For years. But you'd moved. Changed your number. Got married." His jaw tightened slightly. "I respected that. But I never stopped wondering. Never stopped hoping that someday I'd find you again. I'm not." She gestured helplessly at herself. "I'm not that girl anymore, Ben. I'm 54. I'm divorced. I'm broke. I'm beautiful," he finished. "You're beautiful." She laughed, a broken sound. "You don't have to be kind." "I'm not being kind. I'm being honest." He moved closer, close enough that she could see the flecks of gray in his blue eyes. "Do you know what I see when I look at you?" She shook her head, not trusting her voice. "I see the woman who stood up to her entire family because she believed every kid deserved a good education. I see the woman who spent her spring breaks volunteering at youth centers. I see the woman who made me believe I could be more than what everyone expected." His voice dropped. "I see the woman I fell in love with when I was 19 years old, and she's still right here." Diane's tears spilled over. "Ben, dance with me," he said softly. "I can't. Everyone's watching. I don't care. Dance with me, Diane." He held out his hand. She looked at it strong, steady, waiting. She thought about leaving, about running back to her small apartment and her small life where she was safe and invisible. Then she thought about 19-year-old Diane, who'd been brave enough to love him before she got scared. She took his hand. Ben stood there, 3 feet away, looking at her like she was the only person in the room, like she wasn't invisible at all. "Ben." Her voice came out as a whisper. That crooked smile. God, that smile. What are you? I didn't think. You were leaving. It wasn't a question. I need to. She couldn't form a complete sentence. He stepped closer, and she smelled his cologne, something expensive but subtle, cedar, and something clean. "Don't leave yet," he said quietly. "Please." Her mind was racing. He looked good. Too good. Successful and confident and completely out of her league. And she was 54 and invisible and wearing a clearance dress. "I'm sure you have a lot of people to talk to," she managed. "I don't care about any of them." The words hung between them. "Ben, I kept it," he said suddenly. "Your letter. I've kept it for 35 years. Diane's eyes filled with tears instantly. "No, not here. Not now. The letter. The one she'd written after her mother had caught them together. The one where she'd told him they couldn't be together because her family would never accept it, because the world wasn't ready for them, because she was scared of what loving him would cost her. The letter where she'd broken both their hearts. "Why?" she whispered. He led her to the dance floor just as a slow song started something old, something from their time. His hand settled on her waist, and hers rested on his shoulder, and they moved together like no time had passed at all. "I bought this hotel 6 months ago," he said quietly as they swayed. "When I found out the reunion was happening, I made sure it would be here. I've been sponsoring the event for years through different names, hoping you'd show up." "That's insane," she whispered. "That's love," he corrected. She looked up at him. This man who'd become a billionaire, who could have anyone, who'd spent 35 years looking for her. "Why me, Ben? Why after all this time?" He smiled that crooked smile. "Because some people you meet and forget, and some people you meet and they change everything. You changed everything, Diane. And I've been waiting for the chance to tell you that since the day you walked away." The song ended. They stopped moving, but didn't let go. "I'm scared," she admitted. "Of what?" "That this isn't real. That tomorrow you'll wake up and realize I'm just ordinary." Ben's hand came up to her cheek, his thumb brushing away a tear. "You've never been ordinary, Diane Thompson. Not for one single day." Across the room, Monica Phillips stared with her mouth open. Shara Mitchell looked like she'd seen a ghost. And Diane realized something. She wasn't invisible. She just stopped looking at herself through her own eyes. "I live in a one-bedroom apartment," she said suddenly, testing him. "I drive a 2015 Honda with a dent in the side. I have $347 in my bank account. My ex-husband remarried someone younger and prettier. I eat dinner in front of the TV most nights. I'm not—" "Have dinner with me," Ben interrupted. "Tomorrow night, let me take you somewhere and we can talk. Really talk. No reunion, no audience. Just us. Ben, I'm not asking you to marry me, Diane. I'm asking you to have dinner. One dinner. And if afterward you tell me you're not interested, I'll respect that. But please, give me one chance to show you that this," he gestured between them, "is real." Diane looked into his eyes and saw something she hadn't seen in 10 years. She saw herself reflected back. Not invisible. Not ordinary. Seen. "Okay," she whispered. "One dinner." His smile could have lit up the whole room. "That's all I need." Diane woke up at 6:47 a.m. convinced she'd dreamed the entire thing. She lay in her small bed in her small apartment, staring at the water stain on the ceiling that looked like a giraffe, and tried to reconstruct last night with any sort of logic. Ben Cooper, billionaire Ben Cooper, had danced with her, had told her he'd been looking for her for 35 years, had asked her to dinner. In the cold light of morning, it felt impossible. She reached for her phone on the nightstand, half expecting to find nothing. But there it was, a text from an unknown number, sent at 11:43 p.m. "It's Ben. I got your number from the reunion registry. Hope that's okay. Last night was real. Dinner tonight, 7 p.m.? I'll send a car. Sleep well, Diane." Her heart did something complicated in her chest. She read the text 4 more times, looking for any hint that this was a joke or a mistake. Finding none, she sat up, her mind spinning. A car. He was sending a car. She looked around her apartment, the cramped bedroom barely big enough for her queen bed and a dresser, the living room with its second-hand couch and TV stand from IKEA, the kitchenette with a cabinet door that wouldn't close all the way. What was she doing? Men like Ben Cooper didn't date women like her. They dated women who summered in the Hamptons and knew which fork to use at fancy restaurants. Women who kept themselves up, who hadn't given up, Her phone buzzed again. And before you start overthinking, yes, I mean it. Yes, it's real. Yes, I want to see you. Then, despite everything, she smiled. He still knew her. Even after 35 years, he knew she'd be spiraling. She typed back, "How did you know I was overthinking?" His response came immediately. "Because you were overthinking when you were 19 too. It's one of the things I love about you. You care so much about getting things right. Love. Present tense." Diane set the phone down and walked to her bathroom, flipping on the light that buzzed slightly. She looked at herself in the mirror. Gray curls that she let grow naturally after her divorce because she couldn't afford the salon anymore. Deep brown skin with lines around her eyes and mouth. A softer jawline than she'd had at 20. A body that had carried 2 children and 54 years of living. She looked like someone's mom. Someone's grandmother. Actually, her daughter had just had a baby 6 months ago. What was Ben seeing that she couldn't? Her phone rang. Janet's name flashed on the screen. "Girl, you better be awake because Monica Phillips just posted on Facebook that you left the reunion with Ben Cooper, and I need every single detail immediately." Diane closed her eyes. "I didn't leave with him. We just danced." "Danced?" "Diane Marie Thompson, you danced with a billionaire and didn't text me?" "It was late." "It's never too late for billionaire news." "What did he say? What did he do? Does he still look good?" "The photos online are like 10 years old." "He looks," Diane paused, remembering. "He looks really good, Janet. And he asked me to dinner tonight." Janet screamed so loud Diane had to pull the phone away from her ear. "What are you wearing? Please tell me you're not wearing something from Target. Everything I own is from Target or TJ Maxx." "Nope. No, absolutely not. I'm coming over at lunch. We're going shopping." "Janet, I can't afford." "Did I ask if you could afford it?" "This man bought an entire hotel hoping you'd show up. He can wait while we find you something that makes you feel like the queen you are. I'll be there at noon. Be ready." She hung up before Diane could argue. Diane looked at her phone, then back at the mirror. Maybe Janet was right. Maybe she'd been invisible for so long she'd forgotten how to be seen. Her phone buzzed one more time. "Wear whatever makes you comfortable. I don't care if it's jeans and a t-shirt. I just want to see you. Ben." She typed back, "You're making this very hard to talk myself out of." "Good. That's the plan." At exactly noon, Janet showed up with her daughter Keisha, who was 26 and had opinions about everything. "Auntie D, we're giving you a whole makeover," Keisha announced, walking in with shopping bags from stores Diane had never set foot in. "Mom told me everything, and I'm not letting you show up looking like you're going to a PDA meeting." "I like how I look at PDA meetings," Diane protested weakly. "Exactly." Keisha started pulling dresses out of bags. "Tonight, you're going to look like the woman who made a billionaire wait 35 years. I didn't make him wait. I didn't know he was waiting." "Even better," Janet said, settling onto the couch with coffee. "That means this is fate, and fate requires a good dress." For the next 2 hours, they transformed her small apartment into a styling studio. Keisha had brought 4 dresses, 3 pairs of shoes, and enough makeup to stock a department store counter. "This one," Keisha said, holding up a deep burgundy wrap dress with 3/4 sleeves. "It's classy, age-appropriate, and it's going to make your skin glow." Diane took it hesitantly. The fabric felt expensive, smooth under her fingers. "Keisha, this must have cost." "Mom's treating. And before you argue, she already told me you'd try to say no, and I'm supposed to tell you that if you don't accept this gift, she's going to show up at your dinner and embarrass you." Janet nodded seriously. "I'll do it too. I'll sit at the next table and narrate your date loudly." Despite herself, Diane laughed. "You two are ridiculous." "We're your family," Janet corrected. "Now go try it on." The dress fit perfectly. It hugged her curves without clinging, the wrap style flattering her waist. The color made her skin look rich and warm. When she stepped out of the bedroom, Keisha clapped her hands. "Yes, that's it. That's the one." Janet's eyes got misty. "Oh, Diane, you look beautiful." Diane turned to look at herself in the full-length mirror on her closet door. She did look beautiful. Not like she was trying to be 19 again, but like a woman who'd lived and survived and was ready to be seen again. Now, jewelry, Keisha said, pulling out a simple gold necklace. Keep it minimal. And we're doing your makeup natural, glowy, nothing too heavy. I don't usually wear much makeup. I know. That's why we're keeping it light. Just enough to make you feel confident. By 6:30, Diane was ready. The dress, the makeup, her natural curl style with some product that made them defined and shiny. Simple gold jewelry. Heels that were surprisingly comfortable. She looked like herself. Just more. Janet hugged her tight. You've got this, girl. Just be yourself. That's who we fell in love with. That was 35 years ago. People change. Yeah, but the important parts don't. You're still the kindest, smartest, most caring person I know. That doesn't change because you got older. Keisha hugged her too. And text us when you get there, so we know you're safe. And take pictures if you can. And tell us everything tomorrow. At exactly 7 p.m., Diane's phone buzzed. Car is downstairs. Driver's name is Marcus. Take your time, no rush. Diane grabbed her small purse, also courtesy of Keisha, and headed down. A black car was waiting. Not a limo, thank God. Just a nice, normal car with a kind-looking older black man standing beside it. Miss Thompson, I am Marcus. Mr. Cooper sent me to bring you to dinner. He opened the door for her, and she slid into the back seat, her hands shaking slightly. The drive took 20 minutes through downtown Chicago. Marcus didn't try to make small talk, sensing she needed the quiet to think. They pulled up to a restaurant Diane had never heard of, the kind of place that didn't have a sign, just a street number and a doorman. Mr. Cooper is waiting inside, Marcus said, opening her door. Enjoy your evening, Miss Thompson. Diane stepped out onto the sidewalk, her heart pounding. The doorman smiled and opened the door. Good evening. Mr. Cooper's table is ready. Inside, the restaurant was intimate, maybe 10 tables total, all spread far apart. Soft lighting, fresh flowers, the quiet murmur of conversation. And there, at a table near the window, was Ben. He stood when he saw her, and the look on his face made every ounce of anxiety worth it. Diane, he said softly as she approached, you look stunning. You clean up pretty well yourself, she managed. He wore dark jeans and a navy sweater, no tie, no suit. Dressed down, but still somehow elegant. He pulled out her chair, and she sat, feeling like she was in a dream. I hope this is okay, he said, sitting across from her. I know it's a little fancy, but the chef here is incredible, and I wanted somewhere we could actually talk without 100 people watching. It's perfect, Diane said honestly. A little overwhelming, but perfect. A waiter appeared with menus and water, then disappeared. Ben leaned forward, his blue eyes locked on hers. I'm really glad you came. I almost didn't, she admitted. This morning I was convinced last night was some kind of fever dream. He smiled. I was worried you'd think that. That's why I texted so early. You know me too well for someone who hasn't seen me in 35 years. Some things don't change, he said quietly. The way you bite your lower lip when you're nervous. The way you tilt your head when you're thinking. The way your eyes light up when you smile for real, not when you're being polite. Diane's breath caught. Ben, I'm not trying to make you uncomfortable, he said quickly. I want you to know that I see you, Diane. Not who you think you should be or who you used to be. I see you, right now, and I like what I see. She felt tears threatening again. Why? Why what? Why me? You could have anyone. You're successful and handsome, and clearly you built an incredible life. Why spend 35 years thinking about the girl who broke your heart? Ben was quiet for a moment, his expression serious. You want the honest answer? She nodded. Because you're the only person who ever made me want to be better. Not richer or more successful better. Kinder, braver, more honest. He paused. After you wrote that letter, I was angry for a while. Then I was heartbroken. Then I realized you were right about some things the world wasn't ready for us. Your family wasn't ready. Hell, Maybe I wasn't ready. So what did you do? I built a life I thought would be worthy of you. I made money because I thought maybe if I was successful enough, your family would approve. I stayed single because no one else ever felt like you did. He laughed softly. Turns out I was chasing a ghost. But then last night, I saw you across that ballroom, and you weren't a ghost. You were real, and you were even more beautiful than I remembered. I'm 54, Ben. I have gray hair and stretch marks, and I'm 20 pounds heavier than I should be according to every magazine. Stop, he said gently but firmly. Please stop telling me what you think is wrong with you, because all I see is right. The waiter returned to take their order, giving Diane a moment to collect herself. After he left, Ben reached across the table. Can I ask you something? Of course. What happened after the letter? Did you have a good life? Diane considered lying, making it sound better than it was. But something about the way he looked at her made her want to tell the truth. I married Marcus 3 years after I wrote you that letter. He was pre-med, my mother approved, and I thought that's what I was supposed to do. We had 2 kids, Jasmine and Eric. They're wonderful. That part one don't regret. She paused. But Marcus and we were never in love. Not really. We were comfortable. Then he got his practice established and decided comfortable wasn't enough. He left me for one of his nurses 10 years ago. I am sorry. Don't be. Honestly, it was a relief when he left. We'd been pretending for years. She took a sip of water. I became a school counselor because I wanted to help kids who felt lost like I did. I'm good at it. I love it. But it doesn't pay well, and after the divorce, I've been barely scraping by. Do you regret it? The letter. Choosing him instead of me. Diane met his eyes. Every single day for 35 years. The admission hung between them, raw and honest. I was scared, Ben. My mother said an interracial relationship would be too hard, that people would judge us, hurt us, that our kids would suffer. And I believed her because I was 19 and I didn't know any better. And now I know that the hardest thing I ever did was walk away from you. And I've spent my whole life wondering what if. Ben's hand covered hers on the table. So let's stop wondering, he said quietly. Let's find out. Their food arrived. Beautiful dishes that Diane barely tasted because she was too focused on the man across from her. On the way, 35 years seemed to collapse into nothing. On the feeling of being seen for the first time in a decade. They talked for 2 hours. About his business tech investments and real estate development. About her job and the kids she helped every day. About his failed marriages, 2 of them. Both women who wanted his money more than him. About her struggles after the divorce. About their children, their regrets, their dreams. When the check came, Ben paid without looking at it. Can I take you home? He asked as they stood to leave. That depends, Diane said. Are you going to send Marcus, or are you going to take me yourself? He grinned. I was hoping you'd let me drive you. Then yes. In his car, a nice but not ostentatious SUV. They drove through Chicago, the windows down slightly, the autumn air cool and clean. I have a question, Diane said as they got closer to her neighborhood. Anything. What happens now? You live in, where do you live? Technically, I have places in New York, San Francisco, and here in Chicago, but I've been spending most of my time here lately. Because of the hotel? Because I was looking for you. Her heart squeezed. Ben, I don't know how to do this. I don't know how to date a billionaire. I don't know how to be part of your world. He pulled up in front of her building and turned to face her. Then don't try to be part of my world. Let me be part of yours. My world is tiny. It's work and home and Sunday dinners with Janet. It's small and boring and... It's yours, he interrupted. And I want to know all of it. Every boring, small, beautiful part. He walked her to her door. They stood in the hallway with the flickering fluorescent light, and somehow it felt more romantic than the fancy restaurant. Thank you for tonight, Diane said softly. For seeing me. Thank you for letting me. He leaned in slowly, giving her time to pull away. She didn't. His lips brushed hers, soft and gentle and full of 35 years of waiting. When they pulled apart, Diane was crying. What's wrong? Ben asked, concerned. Nothing, she whispered. Everything's right. That's what's scary. He wiped her tears with his thumb. Can I see you tomorrow? Ben, we can't just pick up where we left off. You have a life. I have a life. This is complicated. I know, but I'm willing to figure it out if you are. She looked into his blue eyes and saw the same boy who'd loved her at 19, now grown into a man who'd waited 35 years. Okay, she whispered. Let's figure it out. He kissed her forehead. Get some rest. I'll call you tomorrow. She watched him walk away, then let herself into her apartment. Janet had texted approximately 17 times, but Diane didn't answer. She just stood in her small living room, touched her lips where he'd kissed her, and let herself believe just for a moment that maybe invisible women could be seen after all. Diane woke up Monday morning to 47 text messages, 12 missed calls, and a Facebook friend request from Ben Cooper that had already generated 89 notifications. She stared at her phone in horror. The friend request had been sent at midnight. By 6 a.m., half her high school class had commented on it. By the time she woke up at 7, the speculation had reached fever pitch. OMG, is this really happening? I knew something was going on at the reunion. Diane Thompson and Ben Cooper? This is the plot of a movie. He's a billionaire and she's a, what does she do again? That last comment was from Sharon Mitchell, and it stung exactly as much as Sharon had intended. Diane set her phone face down on the nightstand and tried to breathe. This was too much, too fast, too public. Her phone rang. Ben's name flashed on the screen. She almost didn't answer. Then she remembered his face last night, the way he'd kissed her like she was precious. Hello. Good morning. Did I wake you? No, I've been awake for a while. Staring at my phone in terror. He sighed. You saw the Facebook thing. I'm sorry. I didn't think about... I just wanted to be connected to you, and I didn't realize it would notify everyone. It's okay. I'm not used to people paying attention to me. Well, get used to it, because I plan on paying a lot of attention to you. She could hear the smile in his voice. Are you working today? Yeah, I have to be at school by 8. Can I pick you up? Maybe grab coffee on the way. Ben, if you show up at my school, it's going to be a whole thing. The kids are going to take pictures. It'll end up on social media. Is that a no? Diane hesitated. Part of her wanted to say yes, to let herself have this. But another part, the part that had learned to be invisible, was screaming warnings. It's a let me think about it, she said finally. Fair enough. But Diane, yeah, I'm not going to hide. I spent 35 years without you. I'm not going to pretend you don't matter to me just because people are watching. After they hung up, Diane sat on the edge of her bed, trying to sort through the chaos in her chest. She wanted this. God, she wanted this. But wanting something and knowing how to have it were two different things. School was exactly as chaotic as she'd feared. She'd barely walked into her office when 3 teachers descended on her, all talking at once. Diane, is it true? Did you really reconnect with Ben Cooper? Girl, we saw the Facebook request. Are you dating a billionaire? I don't know what I'm doing, Diane admitted, setting her bag down. We had dinner. That's all. That's all? Diane, the man bought an entire hotel hoping you'd show up. That's not just dinner. By lunchtime, the story had spread through the entire school. Students kept peeking into her office, whispering and giggling. One senior girl, Destiny, who Diane had been counseling about college applications, knocked on her door during lunch. Miss Thompson, can I talk to you? Of course, Destiny. Come in. The girl sat down, clutching her backpack. She was quiet for a moment, then said, Is it true? About you and that rich guy? Diane sighed. Where did you hear that? It's all over social media. Some of the teachers were talking about it. Destiny looked down at her hands. I wanted to know if it was real. Why does it matter? Because you're always telling us that we matter, that we're enough just as we are. And if someone like you, someone smart and kind and real, can have someone look at them like that, she trailed off. Maybe the rest of us can too. Diane's throat tightened. Destiny. My boyfriend broke up with me last week because I gained weight, said I wasn't pretty anymore, and I've been feeling like maybe he's right. Maybe I'm not enough. She looked up, tears in her eyes. But if you can have a love story, Miss Thompson, maybe I can believe I'm worth loving too. Diane came around the desk and hugged the girl tight. You are worth loving, Destiny, exactly as you are. And any boy who can't see that doesn't deserve you. After Destiny left, Diane sat at her desk and cried. She'd forgotten that being visible meant people were watching. And some of them, like Destiny, needed to see that women like them could be loved. Her phone buzzed. Ben again. I know you said to give you space today, but I can't stop thinking about you. Dinner tomorrow? She typed back, yes, but we need to talk. That sounds ominous. Not ominous, just real. Real I can handle. Pick you up at 7? Okay. She set her phone down and took a breath. Real. That's what this needed to be. Not a fairy tale. Not a fantasy. Real. Tuesday evening, Ben picked her up at 7 sharp. This time, he came to her door himself. No driver. No car service. Just him, in jeans and a gray Henley, holding a single sunflower. You remembered. Diane said softly, taking the flower. You told me once that roses were too expected, that you like flowers that look happy. He smiled. Sunflowers make you think of sunshine. She had said that 35 years ago, on their 3rd date, back when they were just kids figuring out how to love each other. Come in for a second, she said. I need to put this in water. He stepped into her small apartment, and she watched him take it in. The second-hand furniture, the small TV, the photos of her kids on the wall. This is nice, he said, and he sounded like he meant it. You don't have to lie. I'm not. It feels like you. Warm. Real. Lived in. He picked up a photo of Jasmine and Eric. These are your kids? Yeah. Jasmine's 28. Eric's 26. Jasmine just had a baby, my first grandchild. You're a grandmother? He grinned. That's incredible. It makes me feel ancient. It makes you sound like you've lived a full life. That's not a bad thing, Diane. She found a glass for the sunflower, filled it with water, and set it on her small kitchen counter where she could see it. Ready? Ben asked, actually, can we stay here? I know that's not romantic or fancy, but I made dinner. Nothing special, just chicken and rice and vegetables. But I thought maybe we could just talk, really talk, without waiters or other people watching. Ben's expression softened. That sounds perfect. They ate at her small table, the one that wobbled slightly because one leg was shorter than the others. Diane had made a simple meal, the kind she'd cook for herself on weeknights, and somehow that felt more intimate than any expensive restaurant. This is really good, Ben said, and she could tell he wasn't just being polite. My grandmother's recipe. She taught me to cook when I was little. Diane paused. She would have liked you, actually. She was the only one in my family who told me to follow my heart, no matter what anyone else said. What happened to her? She passed away when I was in college. Heart attack. Diane's voice went quiet. I've always wondered what she would have said if I'd told her about you. About us. You never told her? By the time we were together, she was already sick. And then after I wrote the letter, there was nothing to tell. They were quiet for a moment, the weight of lost time sitting between them. Ben, I need to ask you something, Diane said finally. And I need you to be completely honest with me. Always. What do you want from this? From me? He set down his fork, giving her his full attention. What do you mean? I mean, are you trying to recapture something we had when we were kids? Are you feeling nostalgic? Are you trying to fix some old regret? She took a breath. Because I can't be 19 again. I can't be that girl. I don't want you to be that girl, Ben said quietly. I want you to be this woman. The one who's sitting across from me right now. The one who's built a life and raised kids and survived things that would have broken most people. But why? I'm not special, Ben. I'm not successful or glamorous or... Stop, he said gently. Can I tell you what I see when I look at you? She nodded, not trusting her voice. I see a woman who works every day with kids that most people have given up on. I see someone who lives in a small apartment and drives an old car and doesn't complain about it. I see someone who raised two good kids while married to a man who didn't deserve her. I see someone who's been knocked down and got back up. He reached across the table, taking her hand. I see someone real, Diane. In a world full of people pretending to be something they're not, you're just yourself. And that's the most beautiful thing I've ever seen. Tears slipped down her cheeks. I am scared. Of what? Of this being too good to be true. Of you waking up one day and realizing I'm just ordinary. Of people judging us. Of... She stopped, the real fear catching in her throat. Of what? He prompted gently. Of losing you again, she whispered. I barely survived it the first time, Ben. If I let myself love you again and it doesn't work, then we'll hurt, both of us. But Diane, I'd rather hurt with you than feel nothing with anyone else. He stood up and came around the table, kneeling beside her chair. I'm not promising this will be easy. I travel for work. I have a complicated life. There will be people who judge us, who don't understand, who say terrible things. He cupped her face in his hands. But I am promising that I will show up. Every single day. I will choose you. And I will love you exactly as you are, for as long as you let me. Diane pulled him up and kissed him, deep and desperate and full of 35 years of longing. When they broke apart, both breathing hard, Ben rested his forehead against hers. Is that a yes? He murmured. That's a terrified yes, she whispered back. But yes. He smiled and kissed her again, softer this time. They moved to her small couch, and she curled into his side like it was the most natural thing in the world. He smelled like cedar and something clean, and his arm around her shoulders felt safe. Can I tell you something? She said after a while. Anything. I have a student, Destiny. She came to talk to me yesterday. She said she needed to know if this was real, because if I could have a love story, maybe she could believe she was worth loving too. Ben was quiet, listening. I didn't realize people were watching. I didn't realize that me being visible again mattered to anyone but me. It matters, Ben said softly. You matter. You always have. They sat like that for hours, talking about everything and nothing. He told her about the business deal that went wrong and cost him his first marriage. She told him about the night Marcus left and how she felt relieved and devastated all at once. He showed her pictures of his son, Michael, who was 30 and worked as a teacher in Boston. A teacher? Diane smiled. You always wanted to be a teacher. Yeah. Well, life took me a different direction. But Michael's living that dream for me, and he's damn good at it. Does he know about me? I told him yesterday. He was shocked but happy. He said it was about time I stopped being alone. What about your ex-wives? They don't care. We're cordial, but we were never in love. Not like... He stopped. Not like what? Not like I was with you. Not like I am with you. Present tense again. Around 11, Ben stood to leave. I should go. You have work tomorrow. I do, she agreed, but she didn't want to leave. At her door, he kissed her goodnight, slow and thorough and full of promise. Can I see you this weekend? He asked. I want to take you somewhere. Where? It's a surprise, but pack an overnight bag. Ben, separate rooms, he said quickly. I just want more time with you. Time where we're not worried about work or interruptions or people watching. Just us. She thought about saying no, about being sensible and cautious. Instead, she said, okay. His smile could have lit up the entire building. After he left, Diane stood in her quiet apartment and realized something. She wasn't invisible anymore. And for the first time in 10 years, she didn't want to be. Friday afternoon, Diane stood in her bedroom staring at an open suitcase on her bed, feeling like a teenager again. What did you pack for a surprise weekend with a billionaire? Janet sat on the edge of the bed, offering commentary on every piece of clothing Diane picked up. Take the black jeans. And that soft blue sweater, the one that makes your eyes look lighter. My eyes are brown, Janet. Your eyes have flecks of gold when you're happy. Trust me, bring the sweater. Diane packed the sweater. What if this is too much? Diane said suddenly, dropping a pair of pajamas back in her drawer. What if I'm reading this all wrong, and he just wants to be friends? Or, girl, if you don't stop, that man has been in love with you for 35 years. He's not trying to be friends. But what if? Janet stood up and put both hands on Diane's shoulders. Listen to me. You deserve this. You deserve to be loved and chosen and swept off your feet. Stop talking yourself out of happiness. Diane's eyes filled with tears. I'm so scared, Janet. I know, baby, but you're also brave. You've always been brave, even when you didn't feel like it. A car horn honked outside. That's him, Diane whispered. Janet hugged her tight. Go. Have the most beautiful weekend of your life. And text me so I know you're alive. Diane grabbed her small suitcase and purse, took one last look in the mirror, jeans, comfortable boots, a wine-colored blouse under a jacket, and headed downstairs. Ben was leaning against a sleek black SUV, wearing jeans and a leather jacket, looking like he'd stepped out of a magazine. When he saw her, his whole face lit up. Hi, he said, taking her suitcase. Yourself? Are you going to tell me where we're going? Nope, but I promise you'll like it. He opened her door, and she slid in, her heart racing. As they drove out of Chicago, he reached over and took her hand, threading his fingers through hers. Thank you for trusting me, he said quietly. Thank you for being worth trusting. 2 hours later, they pulled up to a beautiful house on the shores of Lake Michigan. It wasn't a mansion. It was just a large, warm, inviting home with wide windows overlooking the water and a wraparound porch. This is yours, Diane asked as they got out. It was my parents' place. They left it to me when they passed. I don't get up here as much as I should, but it's my favorite place in the world. He grabbed both their bags. Come on, I want to show you. Inside, the house was cozy and lived in. Comfortable furniture, photos on the walls, a fireplace in the living room, and a kitchen that looked like it had been well used and well loved. This is beautiful, Ben. There are 3 bedrooms upstairs. You can have your pick. I'm down the hall. He showed her to a room with a view of the lake, a comfortable queen bed with a thick quilt and an attached bathroom. Take your time getting settled, he said. I'm going to start dinner. You cook? He grinned. I'm full of surprises. An hour later, Diane came downstairs to find Ben in the kitchen, classic rock playing softly from a speaker, something that smelled incredible on the stove. Can I help? She asked. You can keep me company. And maybe open that bottle of wine. He nodded toward a bottle of red on the counter. She poured them each a glass and hopped up to sit on the counter, watching him work. He moved around the kitchen with easy confidence, chopping vegetables, stirring sauce, tasting and adjusting seasoning. Where did you learn to cook? She asked. My mom. She said every person should know how to feed themselves well. So she taught me. He glanced over at her. After she died, cooking was one of the ways I felt close to her. When did you lose her? 10 years ago. Dad went 2 years after that. Heart just gave out. I think he missed her too much to keep going. I am sorry. Thanks. They would have liked you, actually. Mom always said I should find someone who challenged me, who didn't just agree with everything I said. Dad said I should find someone who made me laugh. He met her eyes. You do both. Diane felt her cheeks warm. You make it sound like I'm special. You are special. I wish you could see yourself the way I see you. They ate at a small table by the window, watching the sun set over the lake. The food was delicious. Pasta with homemade sauce, fresh bread, a simple salad. This is perfect, Diane said. All of it. It's just pasta. It's not about the food, Ben. It's about this. Being here with you, no pressure, no audience. Just us. He reached across the table and took her hand. That's all I want, Diane. Just us. After dinner, they moved to the living room. Ben built a fire, while Diane curled up on the couch with her wine. Can I ask you something? She said when he joined her. Always. What happened? After the letter. What did you do? Ben was quiet for a moment, staring into the fire. I was angry at first. Really angry. I thought you were choosing your family's racism over us, over what we had. Diane said quietly. That's exactly what I was doing. I know that now. But at 19, I just felt rejected, like I wasn't enough. He took a sip of wine. So I threw myself into school, got my degree in computer science, started investing in tech startups right when things were taking off in Silicon Valley, made my first million by 25. Trying to prove something? Trying to prove I was worthy of you. Stupid, right? Not stupid. Heartbreaking. He turned to look at her. I got married when I was 30. Rebecca. She was smart, beautiful, ambitious. Everything I thought I was supposed to want. But I couldn't love her the way she deserved. We divorced after 5 years. Because of me? Because I was comparing everyone to you, which wasn't fair to her or to me. He paused. I tried again at 40. Sarah, that one lasted 3 years before she told me I was emotionally unavailable. She was right. Ben, I'm not telling you this to make you feel guilty. I'm telling you so you understand. I've spent 35 years trying to move on, trying to forget you, trying to convince myself that what we had wasn't that special. He set down his wine and turned to face her fully. But it was. You were. And no matter how hard I tried, I couldn't make myself feel for anyone else what I felt for you. Diane's eyes filled with tears. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry I hurt you. I'm sorry I was a coward. You weren't a coward. You were 19 years old and scared. I get that now. He wiped a tear from her cheek. But we're not 19 anymore. We're grown people who know what we want. And I want you, Diane. Not who you were. Not some memory. You, right now, exactly as you are. She kissed him then, deep and desperate, trying to pour 35 years of regret and longing and love into one moment. He pulled her closer, his hands gentle but sure, and she felt something crack open in her chest. All the walls she'd built, all the ways she'd made herself small, all the years of feeling invisible. When they broke apart, both breathing hard, she rested her forehead against his. I'm terrified, she whispered. Of what? Of how much I want this. How much I want you. Then be terrified with me, because I'm scared too. You? You're not scared of anything. He laughed softly. I am terrified. Diane, I'm terrified you'll wake up and realize you can do better. I'm terrified I'll mess this up. I'm terrified that 35 years of waiting has built this up so much in my head that the reality can't possibly measure up. He cupped her face in his hands. But I'm more terrified of not trying. They stayed up until after midnight, talking and kissing and learning each other all over again. He told her about his son Michael's teaching career. She told him about Jasmine's baby, about how being a grandmother made her feel old and young all at once. I want to meet them, Ben said. Your kids, your grandchild. I want to know the people you love. They'll interrogate you. Good. They should. They're protecting their mom. Eventually, reluctantly, they went upstairs to their separate rooms. At her door, Ben kissed her goodnight, soft and sweet and full of restraint. Sleep well, he murmured. Ben. Yeah. Thank you for all of this. For seeing me. Thank you for letting me. Saturday morning. Diane woke to the smell of coffee and bacon. She pulled on jeans and a sweatshirt and padded downstairs to find Ben in the kitchen, making breakfast, morning light streaming through the windows. Good morning, he said, smiling. Coffee, please. He poured her a cup, and she wrapped her hands around it, feeling ridiculously content. What's the plan for today? She asked. I thought we could walk on the beach. Then maybe drive into town, look around. There's a bookstore I think you'd love. After that, he shrugged. Whatever you want. That sounds perfect. After breakfast, they walked along the beach, the October wind cold but not brutal. Ben held her hand, and they talked about everything. Books they'd read, places they'd traveled, dreams they'd given up on, and dreams they still held. I always want to open a youth center, Diane admitted. A place where kids could come after school, get help with homework, have access to counseling, maybe learn some life skills. Somewhere safe. Why didn't you? Money. It takes funding to start something like that. and I barely make enough to pay my own bills. Ben was quiet for a moment. What if you had the funding? That's a nice fantasy, but I'm serious. What if money wasn't an issue? What would your dream center look like? Diane stopped walking, looking out at the lake. It would be in a neighborhood that needs it, somewhere the kids don't have a lot of resources. It would have tutors, counselors, maybe some job training programs, a computer lab, a safe space where they could just be kids. Her voice got softer. It would be the place I needed when I was their age. Ben squeezed her hand. Tell me more. And she did. For the next hour, as they walked and then sat on a bench overlooking the water, she told him everything. About the kids she worked with who slipped through the cracks, about how the school system was overwhelmed and underfunded, about how many students just needed someone to believe in them. Ben listened to every word, asking questions, taking mental notes. You'd be amazing at that, he said finally, running a center like that. You already do that work. You just have more resources. It's a nice dream. Dreams are just plans without action. He turned to face her. Let me help you make it happen. Diane's stomach dropped. Ben, no. I can't. Why not? Because that's not why I'm here. I'm not with you because of your money. I need you to know that. I do know that. But Diane, what good is having money if I can't use it for things that matter? And this matters. You matter. Those kids matter. He took both her hands. Let me help. Not because you need rescuing, but because I want to be part of something meaningful. I want to build something with you. I don't know how to accept that. Then let's figure out together. She looked into his blue eyes and saw nothing but sincerity. Can I think about it? Of course. Take all the time you need. That afternoon, they drove into the small town nearby. Ben took her to a used bookstore that smelled like old paper and possibility. They wandered through the aisles, pulling books and reading passages to each other. This one, Ben said, holding up a collection of poetry. Listen to this. He read her a poem about second chances, about love that waited, about finding home in another person. When he finished, Diane's eyes were wet. Buy it, she said. I want to hear you read that again. He bought the book, and also a novel Diane had been eyeing, and a children's book that made them both laugh. They had lunch at a small diner where everyone seemed to know Ben. Mr. Cooper, good to see you. Ben, haven't seen you in months. He introduced Diane to everyone, his hand never leaving the small of her back. This is Diane. She's very important to me. No scam, no hiding, just pride. On the drive back to the lake house, Diane said quietly, You could have just said I'm a friend. Why would I do that? Because we've only been whatever we are for a week. Because people will talk. Because I'm not ashamed of you, Diane. I'm proud to be with you. And I don't care who knows it. Back at the house, they made dinner together, grilled chicken and vegetables, working side by side in the kitchen like they'd done it 100 times before. After dinner, they sat on the porch wrapped in blankets, watching the stars come out over the lake. I don't want to go back tomorrow, Diane said softly. Then don't. Stay another day. I have work Monday. Call in sick. She laughed. I can't just call in sick. Why not? When's the last time you took a day for yourself? She thought about it. I don't remember. Then take one. Stay with me. Let the world wait one more day. She looked at him. This man who'd waited 35 years, who looked at her like she hung the moon, who made her feel seen and valued and loved. Okay, she whispered. One more day. He pulled her closer, and they sat in comfortable silence, listening to the waves and feeling like time had finally brought them where they were meant to be. Later that night, at her bedroom door, Ben kissed her good night. Can I tell you something? He said softly. Anything. I'm falling in love with you again. Hell, I don't think I ever stopped. But this woman you become, I'm falling even harder. Diane's breath caught. Ben, you don't have to say anything. I just needed you to know. He started to pull away, but she grabbed his hand. I love you too, she said, the words tumbling out before she could stop them. I've loved you for 35 years. Even when I tried not to. Even when I married someone else. Even when I convinced myself I'd moved on. I never stopped loving you. He kissed her then, deep and slow and full of everything they'd been holding back. When they finally broke apart, both of them were shaking. Stay with me tonight, he whispered. Just sleep. I just want to hold you. She nodded, not trusting her voice. They climbed into his bed, the one with a view of the lake, and he pulled her close, her back to his chest, his arm around her waist. Is this okay? He murmured against her hair. It's perfect. She fell asleep feeling safe and loved and seen for the first time in longer than she could remember. And when she woke in the middle of the night, disoriented, he was still there, still holding her, still choosing her. She turned in his arms and kissed him, and he kissed her back, and somewhere in the darkness, they stopped holding back. They made love slowly, carefully, learning each other all over again. 35 years of longing poured into touches and whispers, and the way their bodies remembered each other, even when their minds had tried to forget. Afterward, wrapped in sheets and each other, Diane cried. What's wrong? Ben asked, concerned. Nothing. Everything's right. I just forgot what it felt like to be loved like this. He kissed her forehead, her cheeks, her lips. Get used to it, because I plan on loving you like this for the rest of my life. Sunday morning, they didn't leave bed until almost noon. They talked and laughed and made love again, slower this time, savoring every moment. I really do have to go back tomorrow, Diane said eventually. I have 3 students I'm meeting with, and I can't cancel on them. I know, but we're taking this with us. He gestured between them. This doesn't end when we leave here. What do we do? How do we make this work in the real world? We take it one day at a time. I'll come to Chicago. You'll come visit me. We'll figure out the logistics. But Diane, he tilted her chin up, so she had to meet his eyes. I'm in this. All in. Whatever it takes. Even if people judge us? Especially then. They spent the afternoon on the beach one last time, walking hand in hand, not talking much, just being together. As the sun set over Lake Michigan, painting everything gold and pink, Ben stopped and turned to face her. I know it's early. I know we're still figuring things out. But I need you to know something. Okay, you're not a second chance to me, Diane. You're not unfinished business or nostalgia or some fantasy I've been chasing. You're the love of my life. You were when we were 19, and you are now. And I will spend however long you'll let me proving that to you. Diane looked at this man, this beautiful, patient, loving man, and felt every wall she'd ever built finally crumble. Then prove it, she whispered, because I'm all in too. He kissed her as the sun set, and Diane thought that maybe, just maybe, invisible women could be seen after all. And maybe love really did wait, even for 35 years. Monday morning hit like a bucket of cold water. Diane walked into school, feeling like she was glowing from the inside out, only to find her ex-husband Marcus sitting in the chair outside her office. She stopped dead in her tracks. Marcus, what are you doing here? He stood up, looking exactly like he always did, perfectly groomed in his doctor's coat, expensive watch, that practiced smile he gave. Except now, there was something else in his expression. Anger. We need to talk. Privately. Diane unlocked her office door, her heart sinking. I have students scheduled. This won't take long. She let him in, leaving the door slightly open, a safety precaution that had become second nature over the years. Marcus didn't sit. He turned to face her, and she could see the tension in his jaw. I saw the pictures, Diane. You and Ben Cooper. They're all over social media. Jasmine called me, upset. Eric won't return my calls. What pictures? He pulled out his phone and showed her. Someone had taken photos of her and Ben at the diner this weekend, holding hands, laughing, looking at each other like they were the only 2 people in the world. The comments were a mix of support and cruel. She looked so happy. Good for her. Everyone deserves love. Gold digger alert. She's too old for him. That's what happens when you let yourself go. You have to find someone desperate enough. Diane felt sick. Why do you care, Marcus? You left me for someone younger, remember? Come on, Diane. You're 54 years old. This man is a billionaire. What do you think he wants from you? The words landed like a slap. Get out. I'm just trying to protect you. You lost the right to protect me when you walked out for your nurse. Get out. Marcus' expression hardened. The kids are embarrassed, Diane. Jasmine said people are asking her questions. Eric had someone at work show him those pictures and laugh. This isn't just about you. Then tell our children that their mother deserves to be happy. And if they have questions, they can call me themselves. She walked to the door and held it open. Leave. Now. After he left, Diane sat at her desk with shaking hands and called Jasmine. Mom, I can't talk right now. The baby's crying. Jasmine, did you call your father about me? Silence. Honey, talk to me. Mom, people are saying things. My friends keep sending me these posts about you and this rich guy, and I don't know what to say. Are you really dating Ben Cooper? Yes, I am. But Mom, you barely know him. I've known him since I was 19, baby. He was my first love. You never told me that. Because it was complicated. Because your grandmother didn't approve. Because I made a mistake 35 years ago, and now I'm getting a second chance. Jasmine was quiet for a moment. Are you happy? Yes, happier than I've been in years. Then why do I feel like this is going to end badly? The question hit Diane right in the chest. What do you mean? Mom, you're not in his league. I'm sorry, but it's true. And when this ends, what he realizes that it's going to destroy you. And I can't watch that happen again. I watched you fall apart when Dad left. Diane closed her eyes, tears burning behind her lids. I appreciate your concern, honey. But I'm a grown woman. I can make my own choices. Even if they're mistakes? Even then. After they hung up, Diane put her head in her hands. Maybe everyone was right. Maybe she was deluding herself. Her phone buzzed. Ben, how's your day? Missing you already. She stared at the text, then typed back. Can we talk later? Bad morning. Want me to come there? No, I'll call you after work. Okay, but Diane, whatever it is, we'll figure it out. Together. She set her phone down and tried to focus on work. But Marcus' words kept echoing in her head. What do you think he wants from you? That afternoon, Diane's principal, Dr. Helen Rodriguez, called her into her office. Close the door, please. Diane's stomach dropped. This couldn't be good. Dr. Rodriguez was in her early 60s, fair and firm, and one of the few people at school who'd always supported Diane. I want to give you a heads up, Dr. Rodriguez said, her expression serious. Some parents have been calling. They're concerned about your personal life becoming a distraction. My personal life? Your relationship with Ben Cooper. Apparently, students have been showing each other pictures in class. Some parents think it's inappropriate for a school counselor to be involved in such a public relationship. Diane felt like she'd been punched. Inappropriate? I'm not doing anything wrong. I'm dating someone. That's all. I know that. You know that. But perception matters, Diane. And right now, the perception is that you're distracted, that students are gossiping instead of learning, that she sighed. Look, I'm on your side. But I need you to be aware that people are watching. Be careful. Careful of what? Being happy. Careful of giving anyone ammunition to use against you. After the meeting, Diane sat in her office, feeling like the walls were closing in. Her ex thought she was making a fool of herself. Her daughter thought she was headed for heartbreak. Parents thought she was being inappropriate. And everywhere she looked, people were watching, judging, waiting for her to fail. At 5:30, she finally called Ben. Hey, he said warmly, I've been worried about you. What happened? She told him everything. Marcus showing up, Jasmine's concerns, the principal's warning, the cruel comments online. I'm so sorry, Ben said when she finished. This is my fault. I should have been more careful, more private. It's not your fault. It's just reality. This is what happens when someone like me dates someone like you. Someone like you? Diane, what are you talking about? Ben, be honest. What do you see when you look at us? A billionaire tech investor and a broke school counselor who drives a beat-up Honda and lives in a one-bedroom apartment. People think I'm using you. My own daughter thinks I'm setting myself up for heartbreak. Maybe they're right. They're not right. Diane, listen to me. No, you listen. My ex-husband asked me what you could possibly want from me. And you know what? I don't have a good answer. Because I'm not rich or young or... Stop. His voice was firm. Just stop. You want to know what I want from you? I want to wake up next to you. I want to hear about your day. I want to build something meaningful together. I want to grow old with you. I want you, Diane, all of you, not despite who you are because of who you are, but everyone thinks. I don't care what everyone thinks. I care what you think. Do you believe me when I say I love you? Diane was crying now. I want to. Then believe me, because I'm not going anywhere. Not because of gossip or cruel comments or people who can't understand why I choose you. I'm choosing you every single day, and I'll keep choosing you until you finally believe you're worth choosing. I'm scared, Ben. What if this doesn't work? What if you wake up one day and realize? Then we'll deal with it. Together. But Diane, I've waited 35 years for this. For you. I'm not walking away, because things got complicated. After they hung up, Diane sat in her empty office and tried to quiet the voices in her head. But that night, alone in her apartment, the doubts crept back in. Tuesday morning, things got worse. Diane arrived at work to find a printout on her desk an article from a gossip blog with the headline, Gold Digger or True Love? School counselor lands billionaire. The article was vicious. It speculated about her motives, included unflattering photos comparing her now to her high school yearbook picture, and questioned whether Ben was having some kind of midlife crisis. The comments were even worse. Her hands were shaking when her phone rang. Unknown number. Hello, Ms. Thompson? This is Rachel Chun from Chicago now. I'd love to talk to you about your relationship with Ben Cooper. Can we set up an interview? No. Thank you, but no. She hung up. The phone rang again immediately. Different reporter. Same request. By lunchtime, she'd gotten 7 calls from various media outlets. She turned her phone off and sat in her office with her head in her hands. There was a knock on her door. Destiny, her student, peeked in. Miss Thompson? Are you okay? Diane wiped her eyes quickly. Destiny, I'm Fine. What can I help you with? The girl came in and closed the door. I saw the article. The one they're passing around school. Destiny, it's mean. And it's not true. I know it's not true because I see how you talk about him. Nobody fakes that kind of happy. Diane's throat tightened. Thank you, sweetheart. My mom said that when people are jealous, they try to tear you down. She said the only people who hate on love stories are people who don't have one. Destiny smiled. So, don't let them win, Miss Thompson. You deserve to be happy. After Destiny left, Diane sat very still. 16-year-old Destiny could see what Diane's own family couldn't. That night, Ben showed up at her apartment unannounced. I saw the article, he said when she opened the door, and I'm done being careful. What do you mean? He held up his phone. I'm posting something, but I wanted your permission first. Ben, you don't have to. Yes, I do, because I'm not going to let people tear you down. Not on my watch. He showed her his phone. He'd written a statement. I've been reading a lot of speculation about my relationship with Diane Thompson. Here's the truth. Diane is a woman I fell in love with when I was 19 years old. She's brilliant, compassionate, and dedicates her life to helping kids who need it most. She makes me want to be a better man. I'm not having a midlife crisis. I'm not being taken advantage of. I'm just finally with the right person. And if that bothers you, that's your problem, not ours. Ben Cooper. You can't post that, Diane whispered. Why not? Because it'll make things worse. Because people will attack you too. Because I love you and I'm not going to hide it. He cupped her face in his hands. I told you, Diane, I don't care what people think. I only care about you. About us. So tell me, do I have your permission to post this? Diane looked into his blue eyes and saw nothing but certainty. You're sure? I've never been more sure of anything. Then yes, post it. He posted it right there in her small living room, with her watching over his shoulder. Within minutes, the comments started rolling in. Some were supportive. This is beautiful. True love doesn't age. You two give me hope. But others were still cruel. She's using you, man. Wake up before she takes half your money. This won't last 6 months. Ben ignored all of it. He set his phone down and pulled Diane close. Let them talk. I've got you. That's all that matters. But that night, after Ben left, Diane couldn't sleep. The doubts were louder than ever. And on Wednesday morning, everything fell apart. Diane's phone rang at 6 a.m. It was Jasmine, crying. Mom, Eric and I need to talk to you. In person. Can you come to my place tonight after work? Honey, what's wrong? Just, please, Mom. We need to talk. That evening, Diane drove to Jasmine's house in the suburbs with a knot of dread in her stomach. Both her kids were there, Jasmine looking exhausted, the baby on her hip, and Eric looking uncomfortable in a way that reminded her of Marcus. Sit down, Mom, Jasmine said. Diane sat. Eric spoke first. Mom, we love you. You know that, right? This is about Ben. Yes, Jasmine said. Mom, we're worried. This is all happening so fast. And you're not thinking clearly. I'm thinking perfectly clearly. Are you? Eric leaned forward. Mom, you've known this guy for what, 2 weeks? And you're already all over social media with him. Reporters are calling. People at my work are making jokes. So you're embarrassed of me. No, we're worried about you. Jasmine's voice cracked. Mom, what happens when this ends? Because it will end. Men like him don't stay with women like. Like me? Diane finished quietly. Go ahead. Say it. That's not what I meant. That's exactly what you meant. Diane stood up, her hand shaking. You think I'm not good enough for him. You think this is some charity case or midlife crisis. Just like your father. Mom, I spent my entire adult life making myself small. I stayed in a loveless marriage for you two because I thought that's what good mothers did. I worked a job I was overqualified for because it had stable hours and let me be there for you. I gave up my dreams, my youth, my happiness, all for you. Her voice broke. And now, when I finally have a chance to be happy, you can't even support me? We're trying to protect you. Eric said, I don't need protection. I need my children to believe I deserve to be loved. The room went silent, except for the baby's soft cooing. Do you really love him? Jasmine asked finally, tears streaming down her face. Yes, more than I've loved anyone except you two. Then we'll try, Jasmine whispered. We'll try to understand. But Mom, please be careful. We can't watch you get hurt again. Life is risk, baby. Love is risk. And I'd rather risk getting hurt than spend the rest of my life wondering what if. Diane left her daughter's house feeling hollow. Even her own children didn't believe she was worthy of love. She sat in her car and called Ben. Hey, beautiful, I can't do this. The words came out in a rush. Silence. Then what? Everyone thinks I'm making a mistake. My kids, my ex, people at work, strangers on the internet. Maybe they're right. Maybe I'm fooling myself. Diane, where are you? I'm sitting in Jasmine's driveway, and I'm realizing that being with you means everyone I love thinks I'm being stupid. It means reporters calling in gossip blogs and my kids being embarrassed. It means being happy. It means being loved. Diane, I'm coming to get you. No, give me the address. I'm coming to get you, and we're going to talk about this face to face. Not over phone while you're spiraling. She gave him the address. 20 minutes later, Ben's SUV pulled up beside her car. He got out and opened her driver's side door. Come here. She got out, and he pulled her into his arms. She broke down completely, sobbing into his chest. I'm so tired, Ben. I'm tired of fighting. I'm tired of justifying this. I'm tired of people thinking I'm not good enough. Then stop fighting, he said into her hair. Stop trying to prove anything to anyone. Just be with me. But my kids will come around when they see how happy you are. And if they don't, that's their issue to work through, not yours. But what if everyone's right? What if this is a mistake? He pulled back and tilted her chin up so she had to look at him. Then it's our mistake to make. Diane, I love you. I'm all in. And I don't care if the whole world thinks we're wrong. I know we're right. She looked into his eyes and saw everything she wanted: safety, love, home. But she also saw all the obstacles, all the judgment, all the ways this could go wrong. I need time, she whispered. I need to think. His jaw tightened, but he nodded. Okay, take the time you need. But Diane, I'm not going anywhere. When you're ready, I'll be here. He kissed her forehead and walked back to his car. Diane watched him drive away and felt like she was 19 again, watching him leave, choosing fear over love. And she wondered if she'd just made the same mistake twice. For 3 days, Diane didn't call Ben. She went to work, came home, and sat in her small apartment trying to figure out who she was without everyone else's voices in her head. Ben texted twice a day, once in the morning, once at night. Nothing pushy, just, good morning, thinking of you. Hope you had a good day. I'm here when you're ready. She didn't respond. She needed the silence to think. On Thursday afternoon, Janet showed up at her apartment with Chinese food and a bottle of wine. Okay, enough. You've been hiding for 3 days. Talk to me. Diane let her in and collapsed on the couch. I don't know what to do, Janet. About Ben. About everything. About being the woman everyone's judging. About my kids thinking I'm making a mistake. About, she gestured helplessly, about being visible. Janet poured them both wine and sat down. Can I tell you what I see? Do I have a choice? No. I see a woman who's been invisible for so long she forgot what it feels like to take up space. I see someone who spent her whole life making herself small so other people would be comfortable. And now, when someone finally sees you, really sees you, you're terrified. Of course I'm terrified. Everyone thinks I'm an idiot. My own children think he's going to leave me. Marcus said I'm making a fool of myself. And what do you think? The question stopped Diane cold. What? What do you think, Diane? Not Marcus. Not your kids. Not random people on the internet. You. Do you think Ben loves you? Diane thought about the way Ben looked at her. The way he'd waited 35 years. The way he held her like she was precious. The way he defended her publicly when it would have been easier to stay quiet. Yes, she whispered. I think he does. Do you love him? Yes. God, yes. Then what's the problem? The problem is that I'm 54 and broke and ordinary and he's... Stop. Janet set down her wine glass. I'm going to say something, and I need you to really hear me. You are not ordinary, Diane Thompson. You are not less than because you're not rich. You are not unworthy because you've aged. You are not a fool for believing someone could love you. Tears spilled down Diane's cheeks. But what if it doesn't work? What if he leaves? What if it does work? What if you spend the next 30 years with a man who adores you? What if you build something beautiful together? What if you finally let yourself be happy? Janet leaned forward. Girl, you can't live your life terrified of the what-ifs. Sometimes you just have to jump. I'm scared of falling. Then fall. But at least you'll have tried. At least you'll have chosen yourself for once instead of making yourself small for everyone else. After Janet left, Diane sat in the silence of her apartment, chosen herself. When was the last time she'd done that? Not at 19, when she'd written that letter choosing her family's approval over her own heart. Not in her marriage to Marcus, when she'd stayed for years after the love died because she thought that's what good mothers did. Not after the divorce, when she'd made herself invisible because being seen felt too risky. For 35 years, she'd chosen everyone else. Maybe it was time to choose herself. Friday morning, Diane walked into Dr. Rodriguez's office before first period. I need to talk to you. Of course. Sit down. I'm not going to apologize for my relationship with Ben Cooper, Diane said, her voice steady. I'm not going to hide or be ashamed. I'm a good counselor. I'm good at my job. And my personal life is exactly that, personal. If parents have a problem with that, they can take it up with the school board. But I'm not making myself small anymore. Dr. Rodriguez stared at her for a moment, then smiled. Good. It's about damn time. What? Diane, I wasn't asking you to hide. I was warning you that people were watching. But you're right, you're excellent at your job. And who you date is nobody's business but yours. She leaned forward. Don't let anyone make you feel like you have to shrink to make them comfortable. Diane left the office feeling lighter than she had in days. At lunch, she found Destiny in the cafeteria. Miss Thompson, are you okay? I haven't seen you all week. I'm okay. Honey, actually, I wanted to thank you. For what? For reminding me that I deserve to be happy. You were right. The only people who hate on love stories are people who don't have one. Destiny grinned. So, you're keeping him? I'm keeping him. That afternoon, after her last student left, Diane pulled out her phone and called Ben. He answered on the first ring. Diane. Just her name, but she could hear everything in it. Relief, hope, love. Can you come over tonight? I'll be there in 30 minutes. Ben, I'm still at work. I won't get off for another hour. Then I'll be there in an hour and 30 minutes. She laughed the first real laugh in days. Okay, I'll see you then. At exactly 6:30, there was a knock on her apartment door. Diane opened it to find Ben standing there with another sunflower and an expression that was equal parts nervous and hopeful. Hi, he said softly. E, can I come in? She stepped aside, and he walked in, setting the sunflower on her kitchen counter next to the one from last week that was just starting to wilt. They stood in her small living room, 3 feet apart, the air between them electric. I'm sorry, Diane said, for shutting down, for pushing you away, for... Don't apologize. You needed time. I get it. Let me finish. She took a breath. I was scared. I am scared. Because loving you means being visible, and I've spent so long being invisible that I forgot how to take up space. I forgot how to believe I deserve to be seen. Ben started to speak, but she held up her hand. But I've realized something this week. I've spent my entire life making myself small for other people. I chose my family's approval over you when I was 19. I stayed in a dead marriage for my kids. I worked jobs I was overqualified for. I let myself disappear. Her voice cracked. And I'm done, Ben. I'm done shrinking. I'm done apologizing for wanting to be happy. I'm done letting other people's fear dictate my life. Diane, I love you. I have loved you since I was 19 years old. And I'm choosing you. I'm choosing us. I'm choosing myself for the first time in my life. Tears streamed down her face. So if you're still in, if you still want this, I'm ready. I'm all in. Ben crossed the distance between them in 2 steps and pulled her into his arms. I'm in, he said against her hair. I'm so in. I never left. He kissed her then, deep and desperate and full of relief. When they broke apart, both of them were crying. I have something for you, Ben said, pulling back slightly. I've been carrying it around all week, hoping I get the chance to give it to you. He reached into his jacket pocket and pulled out a folder. What is this? Open it. Diane opened the folder to find architectural plans. Beautiful, detailed plans for a youth center. Everything she described on the beach computer labs, counseling offices, a safe space for kids, tutoring rooms, a small gym. At the top, in elegant script, the Diane Thompson Youth Center. She couldn't breathe. Ben, I had my team draw these up. Obviously, we can change anything you want, but I wanted you to see that I'm serious. About you, about your dream, about building something meaningful together. I can't. You can? You will, because you're going to run this center, Diane. You're going to help hundreds of kids, and I'm going to be right there beside you, doing whatever you need to make it happen. Ben, this is too much. It's not enough. Nothing will ever be enough to show you how much you matter, but it's a start. He cupped her face in his hands. Let me do this. Not because you need rescuing, because you don't, but because I want to be part of something that matters. I want to build something with you. Please. Diane looked at the plans, at the dream she'd given up on years ago, now rendered in beautiful detail. She looked at Ben, at the man who'd waited 35 years, who saw her when she felt invisible, who loved her exactly as she was. And she made a choice. Okay, she whispered. Let's build it together. His smile could have lit up the entire city. There's one condition, though, Diane said. Anything. I want to work. I want to earn my place there. This isn't charity, this is a partnership. I'll run the center, but I'm also investing myself. My time, my expertise, everything I have. Deal. But Diane, yeah, you've already earned your place. You've been earning it every single day for years. This is just giving you the resources to do what you've always done. Love kids who need it most. They spent the evening on her couch, going through the plans, talking about programs and staff, and how to make this dream real. We'll need to find a right neighborhood, Diane said, her mind already racing with possibilities. Somewhere that really needs this. And we'll need to partner with schools, get counselors, maybe some job training programs for older kids. You're incredible, Ben interrupted, watching her with a soft smile. What? This. You. The way you light up when you talk about helping people. It's the most beautiful thing I've ever seen. She leaned over and kissed him. Thank you for seeing me, for believing in me, for waiting. Thank you for finally believing you're worth waiting for. Saturday morning, Diane called Jasmine. Mom, is everything okay? Everything's fine. Better than fine. Can I come over? I want to talk to you and Eric. An hour later, Diane sat in Jasmine's living room with both her kids, the baby sleeping in a bassinet nearby. I owe you both an apology, Diane started. I got defensive the other night when I should have listened. You're worried about me. I get that. And I love you for caring. Mom, Jasmine started, but Diane held up her hand. Let me finish. You're right that this is fast. You're right that I barely know the man Ben is now. But here's what I do know. I spent my entire life playing it safe. I married your father because he was safe. I stayed in that marriage because leaving felt risky. I took a job I was overqualified for because it was secure. She looked at both of them. And I've been miserable. Not because of you two. You're the best things that ever happened to me. But because I stopped believing I deserved more. You deserve everything, Mom, Eric said quietly. Then let me have it. Let me take this risk. Let me be with someone who makes me feel alive again. And if it doesn't work out, if I get my heart broken, at least I'll have tried. At least I'll have chosen happiness over fear. Jasmine was crying. I just don't want you to get hurt. I know, baby, but you can't protect me from life. All you can do is support me while I live it. Does he really make you happy? Eric asked. Happier than I've been in years. Maybe ever. Her children looked at each other, having one of those silent conversations only siblings can have. Finally, Jasmine said, Okay, if this is what you want, we'll support you. But Mom, yeah, if he hurts you, Eric and I are going to have words with him. Diane laughed through her tears. Deal. Eric stood up and hugged her. I am sorry, Mom, for not supporting you from the start. You deserve to be loved. Thank you, baby. After she left, Diane sat in her car and called Ben. Hey, how did it go? They're on board. Well, sort of. They're trying, at least. That's good. That's progress. Ben. Yeah. I want you to meet them. Officially. Not just pictures or stories. I want you to meet my kids and my grandchild. I want you to be part of my life. All of it. I would love that. When? Next Sunday? Dinner at my place? I'll be there. The following week flew by in a blur of planning and possibilities. Ben's team found a perfect building in South Chicago, an old community center that had closed down, right in a neighborhood that desperately needed resources. They started the process of purchasing and renovating it. Diane met with architects and program directors, mapping out exactly what the center would offer. She felt more alive, more purposeful than she had in years. On Wednesday, a reporter from a legitimate news outlet, not a gossip blog, called asking for an interview about the youth center. "We've heard Ben Cooper is funding a major community project. Can you tell us about it?" For the first time, Diane didn't hesitate. "Yes, we're opening the Diane Thompson Youth Center this spring. It's going to provide tutoring, counseling, job training, and a safe space for kids in underserved communities. And yes, Ben Cooper is my partner in business and in life." The article ran on Friday. It was fair, balanced, and focused on the center rather than gossip about their relationship. The comments were overwhelmingly positive. This is what billionaires should be doing with their money. Finally, a love story that's actually doing good in the world. Ms. Thompson sounds amazing. Those kids are lucky to have her. Saturday night, Ben took Diane out to dinner at a nice but not ostentatious restaurant. "I have something for you," he said after they'd ordered. "Ben, you've already given me so much. This is different." He pulled out a small box, and Diane's heart stopped. "Ben, before you panic, it's not a ring. Not yet, anyway." He smiled. "Open it." Inside was a key on a simple silver keychain with a small sunflower charm. "What is this?" "A key to my place here in Chicago. I want you to have it. I want you to feel like you can come and go whenever you want. I want you to feel like it's your space, too." Diane stared at the key, her eyes filling with tears. "I don't know what to say." "Say you'll use it. Say you'll let me be part of your life the way I want you to be part of mine." "Yes," she whispered. Yes to all of it. Sunday dinner with her kids was awkward at first. Eric and Jasmine were polite but guarded. Ben was charming but clearly nervous. The baby provided much-needed distraction when conversation stalled. But halfway through dinner, something shifted. Eric started asking Ben about his business. Genuinely curious, Ben asked Eric about his work in finance, treating him like an equal rather than his girlfriend's son. Jasmine watched them talk, then looked at her mother with an expression Diane couldn't quite read. After dinner, while Ben was in the living room holding the baby, Jasmine pulled Diane into the kitchen. "Okay, I get it now." "Get what?" "Why you love him. The way he looks at you, Mom, it's like you're the only person in the room. And he's been asking me questions about my life, about the baby, like he genuinely cares. He's not just trying to win us over. He actually wants to know us." "He does, because you're important to me, which makes you important to him." Jasmine hugged her mother tight. "I'm sorry I wasn't more supportive. You look happier than I've ever seen you." "I am happy, baby. Really, truly happy." That night, after everyone left, Ben helped Diane clean up. "I think that went well," he said, loading the dishwasher. "You were amazing with them." "Thank you. They're part of you. Of course I want to know them." He dried his hands and pulled her close. "Besides, I need to make a good impression. I'm planning to be around for a very long time." "How long?" "Forever, if you'll have me." Diane looked up at him. This man who'd waited, who'd believed, who'd seen her when she felt invisible. Forever sounds perfect. 3 months later, they broke ground on the Diane Thompson Youth Center. Local news covered it. Community leaders spoke. And Diane stood beside Ben, holding a golden shovel, feeling like she was exactly where she was supposed to be. "Speech," someone called out. Diane hadn't prepared anything, but she stepped up to the microphone anyway. 35 years ago, I made a choice based on fear. I walked away from love because I was scared of what other people would think. I spent decades making myself small, invisible, safe. She looked at Ben, who was watching her with pride and love. "But this past year, I learned something important. You can't live your whole life afraid of what might go wrong. Sometimes you have to risk everything for what might go right." She gestured to the empty lot that would soon be a thriving youth center. "This building is going to change lives. It's going to give kids hope and opportunity and a safe place to dream. But it also changed my life. Because building this taught me that I'm not too old, too ordinary, or too anything to deserve love and happiness and big dreams." The crowd applauded, and Diane felt tears streaming down her face. Ben came up beside her and took her hand, raising it in the air like a champion. "To second chances," he said into the microphone. To second chances, the crowd echoed. 6 months after that, on a perfect spring day, the Diane Thompson Youth Center officially opened its doors. 50 kids showed up on the first day. Within 2 weeks, they had a waiting list. Diane hired a staff of counselors and tutors, many of them former students or people from the community who understood what these kids needed. She worked 60-hour weeks and loved every minute of it. Ben showed up every Friday afternoon, not as the billionaire benefactor, but as a volunteer tutor, helping kids with math and science. The kids loved him. They called him Mr. Ben and saved their toughest problems for him. One Friday evening, Diane stood in the doorway of the computer lab, watching Ben help a 14-year-old boy with algebra. "You've got this, Marcus," Ben was saying. "Try it one more time." The boy worked through the problem, and when he got it right, his face lit up. "I did it. You absolutely did. I told you, you're smarter than you think." Diane's heart squeezed. This was what mattered, not the gossip or the judgment or the doubts. This, building something meaningful, helping kids, loving someone who loved her back. After the center closed for the day, Ben found her in her office. "Ready to go home?" "Yeah, just finishing some paperwork." He sat on the edge of her desk. "Can I ask you something?" "Of course." "Are you happy?" She looked up at him, this beautiful, patient, loving man who'd given her back her dreams. "I'm more than happy, Ben. I am fulfilled. I am purposeful. I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be." "Good, because I want to make sure you stay that way." He reached into his pocket and pulled out a small velvet box. Diane's breath caught. "Ben, I know he said not yet. I know we're taking things slow. But Diane, I've waited 35 years for this, and I don't want to wait anymore." He opened the box to reveal a simple, elegant diamond ring. "Marry me. Build a life with me. Grow old with me. Let me love you for the rest of our days." Diane's hands were shaking. "Yes," she whispered. "Yes, yes, yes." He slid the ring on her finger, and it fit perfectly. Then he kissed her, deep and slow and full of promise, right there in her small office in the youth center they'd built together. When they broke apart, both of them were crying. "I love you," Ben said. "I've always loved you. I will always love you. I love you too. Thank you for waiting. Thank you for seeing me. Thank you for teaching me that it's never too late for a second chance." Diane stood on the porch of Ben's lake house, their lake house now, watching the sunset over Lake Michigan. She wore a simple white dress. Her natural gray curls were crowned with sunflowers. Her children stood beside her, Jasmine holding the baby, Eric walking her down the aisle toward the man who'd waited 35 years. It was a small wedding, just family and close friends. Janet crying in the front row, Ben's son Michael grinning beside his father. When Diane reached Ben, he took both her hands and smiled that crooked smile she'd loved since she was 19. E whispered, E. They wrote their own vows. Ben went first. "Diane, you taught me that some love is worth waiting for, that patience and faith and hope can carry you through decades of loneliness if you believe in something deeply enough. You taught me that it's never too late to come home. I promise to love you, honor you, see you, and choose you every single day for the rest of my life." Then Diane, her voice breaking, "Ben, you taught me that being invisible was a choice I was making, not a sentence I had to serve. You taught me that I deserve to take up space, to dream big, to be loved exactly as I am. You waited 35 years for me to be brave enough to choose you. I promise I will never make you wait again. I choose you, today and every day, forever." When the officiant pronounced them married, the small crowd erupted in cheers. Ben kissed his wife. His wife and Diane felt like she was finally where she belonged. At the reception, Destiny showed up now a senior, about to graduate, planning to go to college to become a counselor herself. Mrs. Cooper," she started. Still Miss Thompson at work. Diane corrected with a smile. "Always will be. I just want to say thank you for showing me that love stories are real, that women like us can have them too." Diane hugged the girl tight. "You deserve every bit of happiness in the world, Destiny. Don't ever forget that." As the sun set completely and stars came out over the lake, Ben pulled Diane onto the makeshift dance floor. They swayed together to an old song from their high school days, and Diane rested her head on his chest, listening to his heartbeat. "Happy," he murmured, deliriously. "Any regrets?" "Just one." He pulled back to look at her, concerned. "What?" "That I waited 35 years. That I let fear keep me from this for so long." "Hey!" He tilted her chin up. "We got here. That's what matters. Not how long it took, just that we finally did." She kissed him softly. "I love you, Ben Cooper. I love you, Diane Cooper Thompson." She laughed. "That's a mouthful. You can be whoever you want to be, as long as you're mine. Always, I'm always yours." They danced until the stars filled the sky and their friends and family drifted away, until it was just the two of them under the moon, finally together after 35 years of waiting. And Diane realized something profound. She had never been invisible. She had just stopped looking at herself through her own eyes. But now with Ben beside her, with the youth center thriving, with her children's support and her own dreams realized, she could finally see clearly. She was worthy. She was loved. She was exactly enough. And she would never make herself small again.